Yeah, it's Will and Audra, we in this to stay. Ball python life, watch us lead the way. Climbing year by year, bringing our best, creating content, man we never rest. Started from the ground, now we making a name. In the ball python gang, we in for fame. Bridging gaps for the new and the vets. Mentoring the fam, gotta place your bets. Educating the masses, spread the knowledge for real. Each scale tells a story, that's the deal. Not perfect.
Get yours today.
What's going on, my beautiful people? What's up? What's up? What's up? Episode 59. You've got some balls. And as you guys can see, we don't have Darren this week. Again, keep him in your prayers. He's going through some family stuff with losing a loved one. So definitely shout out to Darren. And I'll just respect his privacy enough to tell you guys, hey, send him some prayers. You know, sometimes we all need a little pat on the back. I'm always there to give him that kick in the behind. So I also got to be there to give him a pat on the back and urge him through some of these tough times. You know, sometimes you get them constant reminders where you have to remember you're human. And we only got one life, guys. So you need to make sure you live it to the fullest potential. But we got the homie Tim with us this week from Morphed Out Reptilez. What's good? Let's go through the comment. Oh, Tim was in the comments too with the early birds. Yes. Frank, what's good? Richie's
always in there.
Oh yeah, man. You know,
Frank be like, you be sending it like we're gonna go live, and then Frank be in there like 2 days before.
Yeah, but I love it though, man. I love it. It's awesome because that means, you know, we're building some type of anticipation, right? You know, people are eager to watch your content. You know, if we shared everything that we get on the positive side, you know, through messages and phone calls and texts, you know, we'd probably be blowing up social media. But we receive a lot from the following here. So we really, really thank you guys. We really appreciate it because we couldn't do anything that we're doing right now without you guys, you know. And a lot of the time, even I beat up on Tim all the time. Sometimes it's not about spending money, you know, it's legitimately, you know, viewership. You spending your time. Your time is more valuable than money, you know. So you got to remember, yet again, we're on this earth for a limited time. I mean, it's temporary. You're only leasing that body that we're walking around in. What's going on with you this week, Tim?
Yeah, you know, same stuff as always. Trying to make it happen. Trying to get stuff done. Been parenting and stuff like that. Yeah, I seen that, Richie. I tell people all the time, man, you get an animal from me, it's from probably bite you because they like food.
Chad, the homie. I love it. Everybody sliding through. Oh, Jeremy's in the comments as well, man. He's doing some phenomenal things down by him after dealing with such tragedy during the hurricane season. You know, man, just everyone, you know, hey, all you can do is sit here and put your best foot forward, and he's producing some stunners.
Yeah, he's got some crazy stuff over there.
Crazy is an understatement, man. Crazy is an understatement. So this week, you know, we want to touch on different topics, but for this week, we really, really want to kind of not dwell on the market, but more so kind of tell people or inform people what we may be doing that's slightly different than the masses, our mindset, how we feel about the market, how we feel about the state of where things are right now. Is it good? Is it bad? You know, regardless of how we all feel, it still is what it is. So how do we navigate through it? You know, does it throw a monkey wrench in our plans? We're going to dig into a little bit of that even on Tim's side, you know, building your infrastructure in a way where it can support your business, making sure your lifestyle that's dumping money into your business can sustain it to a point to where it can kind of overcome and take over for itself. You've been doing this, what now, 12 years, Tim? Is it 12 years?
Yeah, we could go with 12.
And, you know, I wish you guys were subjected to all of our conversation that we normally have.
I don't. I don't. You guys don't want to hear all that nonsense.
No, and I say that because, it's constant back and forth. We joke a lot, but then we get on serious topics, life issues, and, holding each other accountable when it comes to some of these projects you're working, the future, and understanding the baseline of business and hobby. We have to remember that they're living and breathing creatures, and it's still a hobby. It's still a hobby. Whether it's a business for someone, you're still having a business within a hobby, meaning, where it may matter whether you sell or close a deal on a snake or not. But generally speaking, the industry you're in, I mean, if somebody as a customer has to choose between buying a snake and feeding their family, let me just say they should choose feeding their family. And I laugh at that because I joke with Darren as well as Tim in the building of the business side. It's been plenty of times where I say, we could survive off of ramen for how many weeks? And
as a ball python breeder, luckily I'm alright with ramen.
Yeah. And that's a part of the inside joke too, because I always pick with Tim because I'm like, man, you weigh how much? You're less than 150 pounds. You must got rocks in your pockets, don't you? You better stop skipping those meals.
That's like one look. You gotta look at it in a positive. That's like one maybe 2 packs of noodles a day. That's like maybe $2.50, man. That's more money I can dump into these snakes. Yeah,
very, very true. So, what has changed for you between your startup? We, for the most part, we've heard the story on how you kind of lost focus and then refocused in. But what was the catalyst to that so late in the game comparatively to, the new people getting in within the last 2 years, 3 years, like myself? What was the catalyst for you to change what you were doing originally to now kind of being still fearful of the direction, but kind of dead set on success?
It's the mindset, man. The mindset was a really, really big thing because it was good, but it was also the thing that was crippling.
Yeah.
And that's why I was excited when you and me were talking about this week's video. It's the littlest thing can either switch it to the positive, or the littlest thing can like literally drive you down the hill to where, a lot of like nowadays, we're seeing a lot of guys, close up shop, whether they have something else that is doing better for them as another hobby or investment or anything like that. But it can happen so fast.
Absolutely. I think we lose sight on some things too, which we touched on here and there, but this hopefully we'll put it in the verbiage and the delivery today to bring things completely together. But we lose sight that even with pet keepers, hobbyist breeders, enthusiast breeders, every snake you sell to anyone, right? Outside of the big wigs, the big breeders who already have hundreds of snakes, generally speaking, you're selling them a hope and a dream that they can produce whatever they're imagining, even if it's to replicate the same snake. They're selling them that capability, that opportunity to do so. Now, here it is, much, much later, you see price swings and adjustments and everything. And also a lot of those new breeders from 2 years ago or 3 years ago, the COVID breeders that, experienced that. And now they're finally breeding and they're producing maybe whatever they want. I've told my feelings on it. I feel that, yes, if you have anything as far as your availability, you need to care for it. You need to feed it. You need to make sure that they're being cared for to the best of your ability, because what's your cup of tea may not be somebody else's cup of tea. I love Powerballs. I know you don't like Powerballs. That being said, if I chase to produce that and I'm stuck with 10 of them, then they have to stay here. And I need to make sure that I have a game plan for it. So no two people genuinely should have the same vision 100% of the time. But that being said, like, how do you feel that the adjustment as far as the price in the market has affected you? versus the entire hobby as a whole? I guess general.
I mean, I'm a little fish in this game, you know, you know what I mean? But at the same time, it's definitely affected a lot. I mean, it's affected projects, it's affected, you know, the outcomes, it's affected decisions as far as going forward with breeding. It's, you know, everything is a gamble, but most of the time we can kind of see where everything's going or where a project's going, or, you know, you and me talk all the time of, I'm doing this pairing, this is the goal, but obviously we're going to hit all of this stuff that I don't need. But
Right.
you really, I mean, dude, one of the biggest things that I've found out in the last year and a half is, of course, we all, you know, business side of this, you know, hobby that we're in, of course, we all want to make money. We all want to be able to, you know, level ourselves up and our collection up and, you know, be that much better next year. But at the same time, when you're producing a bunch of stuff that isn't, you know, and we've talked about this before on a couple other podcasts that you and me have done, you know, an investment quality animal, you got to be understanding that you're going to lose more to keep that animal and be firm on a price point, especially when you're super, super high versus everybody else that has it. And I think one of the main things that you and me talked about that really hit me is like, when you're producing stuff, you know, go and look, okay, this, even my best case will go off the best odds. How many of these are out there?
Right.
Can I go on Morph Market and be like, oh, there's like 15 of these. So now I have to base my pricing off of that group, you know, whether it's talking to those breeders, you know, communicating back and forth to see how the project, what's moving for them, what's the real price it's moving at. But you just got to look at it like, I mean, that's what we started doing with a lot of our projects. I'm trying to make stuff that really, there might be 2 or 3 people that are out there working with the same stuff.
Right.
And that kind of, I think that's going to definitely help with the sales and quality wise. But at the same time, even in those projects, everything is going to trickle down at some point.
Yeah, you're gonna have what we call in like a firefight and policing and shooting. You have a lull, right? You know, which is a lack of action. So you're going to get those moments some more than others right now. Constantly, I get reminded of, hey, this plan is working. You know, we may go 2 weeks with no sale, and then a sale come out of nowhere, you know, or like this past week, 3 sales will come out of nowhere, and it'll be straight sales, you know, stuff where you don't necessarily have to auction, you don't have to do this and that. And then I'll sit back and I'll look at what's selling straight out, you know, their middle ground, closer to, you know, upper end projects. And I'm like, that's interesting, because when I go back and I start researching now, I don't sit back and just say, yes, you know, cool, success. No, I look at what was offered, and then I research. Prime example, I had a super banana combo. I believe it was super banana, calico, pinstripe, cinnamon, 100% het for paint. And it was the most difficult snake to photograph. I remember sending a picture to you, and you're like, "Oh yeah, nice ivory," and I'm like, dying. Yeah. I'm like, nope, not ivory. But it was cool because, you know, with any camera, you're gonna try to perfect it, lighting and all of that. I was finally able to take really, really good pictures of it. Got it uploaded, and I mean, it was uploaded for a week and a half. And when I look up, you know, that combo, it's not, I'm not going to say no one's ever made it, but it's never been on Morph Market. And it took a week and a half for that to sell. And you're talking about a $500 snake, you know, in this market, in this economy, is not a drop in a bucket for everyone, you know. So I was able to talk straight with the purchaser, because they didn't ask any questions. They just clicked and bought. You know, I reached out to them, created, you know, some dialogue back and forth, and try to figure out, you know, pick their brain, pick the customer brain on what they were looking to do. And, you know, and they wanted to work the genes. And yet again, they said they were looking for something that was visually pleasing to them, that they could be excited for. They're just getting started, but they wanted something a little different. And that's what we preach all the time, right? Hey, create something that's going to be different. Now, That wasn't our goal, which is why it was available. But the byproduct of what you're going after, people are seeking if you can be creative enough, right? Me and you always bump heads on that, and we're saying, all right, well, I'm thinking about this parent, and you say, oh, I'm thinking about this parent, and you have to question yourself on your end game. Is that going to reach your true end game? Does it have the potential to hit what you want it to hit? And you living proof of this. I never sit back and say, hey, I want this, but if my byproduct that I'm producing doesn't meet the bar, then I'm not going to go after this. I always go after the goal. The byproduct is going to be what the byproduct is going to be. Luckily enough, in the planning stages, I feel like if you're thinking outside of the box for your own satisfaction, I think we are lucky enough to be able to set goals like that, more of a boutique style, and not worrying about trying to produce 10 and 20 and 30, replications of the same exact combinations. I'm happy our demand isn't that, because that will be a little tougher. But yet again, different businesses is going to yield different demands. How often are you hit up pretty much inquiring about, maybe snakes that you don't have availability in, that you're consistently being asked about over and over?
Not too many. I mean, I wouldn't say it's, we're getting hit up every day or every couple of weeks. I mean, I do get a handful of messages here and there about certain things that we're working, but it's mostly, and I feel again, we talk about a lot of different breeders and their mindsets and stuff like that, but I get messages about projects that we're still breeding for.
Right.
And mainly it's because that person, for example, the Xanthic chocolate clown stuff. There's a breeder that we've kept in really, really good contact with each other ever since we both kind of brought that project to get us to start communicating. And he had really good luck. He made a couple awesome animals out of the group, but no double visual yet. And I'll get messages like that, like, hey, did your females ever go? I didn't get the odds this year, so we're looking to see if you have anything. And I love that, because when you have those certain projects that are they're so tight, they're not, not a lot of people are doing it, you'll get those sales from that, or even business relationships, because you're one of the few limited people with it. But as far as just random people reaching out, we get it here and there, mainly with Xanthic stuff, because again, in the past years, I used to produce a lot of nice Xanthic stuff, and it was one of the projects that as soon as it was available, it would be sold that day. Right. So it's nice. I actually prefer that I don't get hit up often about a lot of other stuff, because it kind of
distracts you.
Well, and me, bro. So with me, especially in my mindset, so trying to get it wrapped around, going forward with the right steps and stuff. When so many people start asking me, hey, do you have this? Do you have this? Do you have this? It starts making me backtrack and start thinking man, why am I not breeding this stuff? But again, in this industry and in this hobby, as soon as I make that wrong move to start leaning to breed some of that stuff, by the time I'm producing it, people don't need it anymore.
Yep.
So it's a love-hate with certain things, especially something like that. But I mean, honestly, like I always tell people, if people message me and they're looking for a certain combo or a gene that I just don't have available or haven't worked it, I immediately go to my my phone book. Hey, these are my top go-to guys. These guys have that paint and stuff. Hey, Will's been working with paint. Limey's working with paint. You always try to send them. It's not always about the sale, right? I mean, again, we're a business. Sales are great. Revenue is a must, especially with a business mindset. But at the same time, when you are able to work with a customer and send them to somebody, they have a great transaction, 9 times out of the 10, they're probably going to come back to you, whether it's for advice or maybe they see something that you have available. Oh, this could work with that. Hey, and it just leads to further engagement with your customers, I think.
All right. Let's spin that toward the trends and oversupply and how that's affecting prices. I see a lot of talk, about the overproduction, oversupply, but the hardest part of that is, no one kind of governs, ball python breeding, right? No one's really, if they tell everyone to stop breeding today, you're still going to have people breeding. So that
Well,
being
and a lot
said,
of the same stuff too. I mean,
right. So I always sit back, when you err on the side of caution and you say, just work what you like. And I really, really believe in that because a lot of that comes, and I guess I'm kind of talking to the choir when it comes to you because you're breeding a lot of chocolate, a lot of stuff that you like, right? And so you're going to hear me, but you're not really going to absorb it because you're already there. But when I look at these issues over production, I think we have to kind of take a pause and go back to the drawing board with it. Whether hobby, whether big breeder, again, I should not complain if I produce 300 snakes and sell 10. I shouldn't sit back and complain that I can't move the 290 snakes. I need to reinvent myself, figure it out on the business side. What am I doing wrong? Am I producing the wrong thing? I need to correct my own flaws and my own error instead of kind of deflecting everything to the community, to the hobby. Because a lot of the stuff you see, and that's why I say I feel like I'm talking to the choir, you and I are not chasing to produce in mass quantities the same thing over and over. That's the part I think that's getting a lot of the new keepers and breeders kind of thrown off away from coming into the community. They see so many snakes that's available and, they kind of get thrown off. But if you really dig through and work out some of the things that are, literally the same thing over and over, you will find some very unique projects. I think when most people, and I may be out of line, but when most people, look at flawless and what we're trying to do, you may get the vibe that we're trying to produce $20,000 snakes, and that's not the gist of it. I want to harp on that you don't have to worry about price points 100% of the time, that you can take older genes. And if you love that old gene and you want to put it with a dinker, do it. If you love that old gene and you want to put it with something else, and maybe it's a lilac, or you love the interaction, and you do your research and you're finding that even genes that exist on the market currently already, 2 and 3 and 4 gene combos, you may find yourself, rubbing shoulders with only 20, 30 other snakes being available in that category. And all it took was a little research and digging through in the gene, the development of the gene, the expression of the gene. And a lot of us aren't doing it on the front side of it. And it leaves us messed up. So it makes you feel like you have to spend a pretty penny just to be able to get into the hobby. Do you disagree with that?
no. The only thing that I would add to that is it's also on the other side of that. A lot of the newer breeders will see, and this is basically a whole nother topic, but it's kind of falls right in line because you'll see, oh, we're breeding certain stuff, but we have a ton of this smaller stuff that's available, but it's so cheap. Like you and me, we do it all the time. It's we price competitively, right? We
Right.
go on, we do our research, hey, yes, it's a very, very nice animal and it looks fantastic, but it's for sale in our category. It's definitely something that's decent and nice to work with, but it's just not where we wanted to be. And people always comment, oh, well, that's so cheap, that's so cheap. You also have to understand we can't get flooded with the misses and the byproduct, because when you do that, you end up like what we dealt with 3-4 years ago. You are constantly in the same, you're producing the same stuff, so you're back to dealing with that supply and demand. You have a bunch of supply, but there is no demand for it, so that changes things.
Right.
And I feel like that's a huge thing that people don't they don't really understand that concept. But at the same time, the guys that do see that and understand the concept, those are also the people that are actually, like you just said, they're not just jumping into certain stuff. They're doing their research. They're seeing what can be done with these older genes. And even myself, like, I love doing that. When I find somebody, hey, we're working on the same gene. What are you doing, Will? What's your plans for this? Okay, boom, this is your plans. Oh, I was going to think about doing that too. I might still do that pairing, but at the same time, I'm also trying to do 4 other pairings that are completely different spectrum than what you're doing.
Right.
If I can do it, because if we're, and most of the time you meet breeders like you and me, we have a couple projects that we love working together. We're both in it. We're both doing different stuff. But when you find these people that are working on the same genetics or same genes that you're trying to bring back, it's so much better to have a bigger spectrum of the combos, the combinations that you can make, the different genetics mixed into it. And it helps bring light back to those projects. I mean, me and Jose, we talk about it with Disco all the time.
Right.
Disco's been around for years. And I mean, yeah, it's nice, but it's cool. But you see Inferno stuff. Both of us, me and Jose, we're doing totally different stuff with Disco. And I mean, I'm at the point where it's kind of like a love and hate, because my original plan was, it's not really going to end up being what I thought it was going to be. So we got to kind of like redirect to get it back on track. But again, you learn those things as you're going through these projects. But I mean, again, people forget that it also takes a million years to hit what you want to hit too, right?
Oh yeah, no, that's what I was going to throw in there. So there's a learning curve that I've seen so far. So all right, again, the channel, the brand, everything is being put together for the beginner breeder all the way to the established breeder, and hopefully to have that light bulb moment go off sometimes. For the newer breeder keeper that's watching right now, or maybe you're aspiring to get into the community, there's a few things that I would suggest. Number one, as a new breeder, I would build your collection smartly. All right. You have to really, really think everything through. A lot of the things that pertain to supply and demand won't apply to you. And this, again, a lot of people aren't able to really process this part of it. You have to remember that mid-level breeders, right? It's like a balancing act with them. They have established collections. Never going to say they stop buying, because as a breeder, you really never stop adding new snakes. But it's a completely different mindset when, we talk about it quite often, that if you have 80 breeders and your goal, your infrastructure, everything is in place, you're doing very, very well as a mid-level breeder, working your projects, you're in a different place than a person that's just starting. So when people mention supply and demand, it's not going to apply and hit home to a new breeder, new keeper, 1 to 3 years, the way it will hit that 5 to 15 year breeder. Because guess what? Their collection is so far more advanced, so far ahead of yours. Even if it's genetically different, it's just so far advanced. They can work their projects and work towards supply and demand in the same season, in one season. They can get an idea and say, "Oh man, I didn't know that, I don't know, a DG clown combo with strained or whatever looked like that. I have the ingredients in my collection right now, not scheduled to be paired, not paired up to anything. I can make that season." That's a much different vision than, all right, I'm coming in, I buy this baby, this male, I buy these 2 females this season because that's hot now. Grow it out and don't get your clutch for 3 years. It ain't hot no more.
That's the catch-22 with everything, though, right? Because you see all of our favorite breeders. You see these guys that are producing all these combos. They're just amazing animals. And even me, I know you do it too. There's still animals to this day where it's like, man, I would love to have that here. Oh my goodness, what I could do. But you don't see, and we talk about this all the time, you don't see what it took for those guys to get those animals. And that's not saying Yeah, maybe you got some of these breeders that they have those other investment spots where they can come to a Tinley or something and drop 40K. But again, what a lot of people don't realize is even with that money had to come from somewhere. They
Absolutely.
didn't get that overnight, or they didn't just get lucky and, oh, hey, I got this open. No, it takes time. So,
Yes.
and that's a huge thing, right? Because, I mean, we've heard this for years. I've heard it when I first started, years and years ago. People come in and expect to get rich, and it's like, you gotta, like, even now, our mindset when we get an animal in, I don't look for investments back on that animal for at least 5 to 10 years.
That's smart. That's smart.
I trust me. Hey guys, I pray for the best that year one we triple and it goes crazy. But the reality of the situation is 9 times out of 10, 5 years minimum.
Yeah.
And if we can break even in 5 years, that's a good spot to be in. But again, it also comes with not splurge buying, not always having a plan. You and me talk about this all the time, Will, because I still am shady on some spots of the plans aspect, but the vision is there. So it's, again, we talked about it this year. We had, I think it was like 35 holdbacks. And that's what we were going for. And then I went through, like, after they were out, 2-3 months out. And I look back, I think we're at like 15 now, if that.
Right.
Just because it's like, it's pointless to waste the time to grow this up, especially on the breeder side of it, the project side. You waste all this time to grow it up, and then by the time everything goes, it's going to be a lost cause. I don't want to say a lost cause because nothing's ever a lost cause. I think there's a lot of projects that are still going to have a spot, but it's just go from, having 10 animals that you're holding back, but only 2 of those animals were really going to get you close to that goal animal. There's no reason to hold all 10.
Right.
Keep the 2 that are going to pursue it, and then, keep it moving.
Right. And a lot of that comes with the standard that you're setting, right? You have to have which I don't know, hopefully you're doing it this year coming up, but when you start with your pairings, you're actually jumping in that calculator and seeing what your percentages are going to be, making sure that, okay, cool, this is my goal. And it may be 2 or 3 or 4 different combinations, whether you're going after certain males or certain females. Just always ask yourself, why am I going after this? We're very, very hard pressed on it. The same literally formula season after season so far. We, until again, and we saw a little transition this year, last year when after our hatchling season, we're big on, hey, this female, this is the combo, whatever from the pairing. We may have 4 or 5 different combinations for that female. And that is what we're shooting for. But, we may hit some high level males in that combo as well. And none of them may end up being holdbacks for us. So we kind of end up tagging and coining ourselves for holding back a lot of females. And we do. We pride ourselves on, when we first started buying our males, utilizing our males with decent to high level females and creating our holdbacks and moving forward. Use that male hopefully for 3-4 years in that project, and then buy a new male forward, because a lot of the projects we are not in the forefront of those projects. Therefore, I would rather produce holdback quality females, make some different things available, sell that, make the revenue, take some of that revenue, put it to the side to reinvest back into another male, moving forward in the direction you want to go in. Now you can use that prior male, high dollar male, as a backup, or move him on to someone else that can now use him. I think that leapfrog kind of approach really moves you forward fast in a smaller collection. What's your thoughts on it?
No, I it's hard for me to say, because obviously I was doing all that wrong for the longest time, but it definitely does, especially in certain projects. It makes it easier. Luckily for us, like even this year, we were really female heavy, so everything that I wanted to hit for the projects, most of it was female. We did get lucky on a few different males. And it was kind of the other side of that spectrum too, right? You know, we could release a male, but is it as easy to find that exact same male or something in that project right now? And we kind of looked at, there was a few that I looked into, and it was like, yeah, there's like 4 or 5 different options, but all of them are not the direction that we want to go. So I kind of got to keep that male.
Right.
Now that doesn't mean in, you know, 6 months when everybody else starts hatching, because again, you and me have talked about this. There's a lot of people that are still early in their season. I mean, you and me we're already on the second rotation into 2026 for breeding.
Right.
But there's a ton of breeders right now that don't have more than 5-6 clutches on the ground.
Right.
So it's always, I mean, it's always a thing, you know, like you and me always say, we got to keep up with everything. We got to stay focused on certain things. You always got to keep researching and see, even if you're not in the market for something, you always got to watch the market for whatever you're looking for, because everything changes. You know, a week is a big deal in what we do. You know what I mean?
Big shout out to Leviathan, Stephen, and Courtney, man. Really look up to everything that they're doing. They're really like our neighbors as well, down here in South Carolina. But, you know, we watch all of their content, you know, very, very smart couple. Love calling them friends. Love how they're building their business. I believe Courtney actually is full time now in the business, which I love it, because that means that they're making movement in the right direction, and their decisions that they've made have been successful. So kudos to those guys down there. And I agree 100%. A lot of the projects and different things we bought into, a lot of people weren't in those projects as deep at that time, and we recouped a ton of money from those projects. Now, when we first got started, we spent a crap load of money. I mean, we've done videos kind of touching on that, a crap load of money. But the vision, yet again, has always been long term. It's never been to, you know, throw this money in like the stock market and get it back in 3 to 5 years. We're very, very well hoping to be here doing this for 20 years. That's what we're looking forward to. We're having fun. We're enjoying the process. I always tell Tim, when we have it just one-on-one, we'll put it out there to the masses. I'm like, man, if this is the tough times, I can't wait for the up times, you know, because we're doing very well. Now you're always going to want, you know, more for certain combos, especially your gene. You're always going to want more. I get that. But if we, or which we have, continue to step up year after year after year, obviously adjusting certain things along the way, it just tells me that your business plan is heading you in the right direction. And we're doing all of this here without even producing all of our own rodents. We're still paying for rodents for all of our grow outs, all of our breeders every single week. And we're still able, fiscal year, to be in the black. Now, overall, we're still in the red. But this is year 3, and fiscal year, we're well into the black year to year. Year 1 we was, and I don't know how we ended up doing that, which was awesome, bringing in any type of revenue, but that was cool. Year 2, and now year 3, and we really are just getting slammed with our hatchlings now. But a lot of the stuff that we told you guys, we built a lot of our business plan off of the backs of people who are established and doing it already. We took that Ozzy method. You know, we were a part of Ozzy's Patreon. I took a lot of notes on what was going on in the community. Will from RCR, you know, take a lot of notes. And I sat back, I say, man, at the end of the year, I see Ozzy, he's releasing these females. Why would you sell a breeder female? Because he has a very concise, specific collection where if he produces something that's far above and beyond what he's already working with, he's going to replace that and move that female on and bring that revenue back into his business. That's very smart. So we said we're going to do that from year 1. So we're turning that over in the same manner, trying to make sure as we produce holdbacks and the collection increases, that we don't have to buy more and more racks. We still have racks that's not plugged in. So that's a part of that plan by design. But again, a lot of people don't look at it that far in advance, and I think that can be a black eye on the hobby as a whole, because if you don't look that far in advance and now you're going through it, you tend to kind of drop the ball, have a bad taste in your mouth, and feel that, you know, maybe the wool's been pulled over your eyes, you've been tricked, right? A lot of people may feel that way.
And especially if you have a bad, say you have a bad year.
Oh yeah.
You know, if you're the future is definitely something that I think a lot of people need to look more into. You know, don't plan for this year. You know, like and it's hard, right? Because, you know, people are like, oh well, a lot of people might not understand that and everything. And even me, I catch myself doing it sometimes too. But it's like we just started pairing. I think we're probably 8 or 9 animals into pairing for 2026, and half of those pairings are for like 2028.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, we're definitely paying attention to what we're doing, and I need certain things for like 2028 type deal. But
Right.
you know, people, they look just to like next year, like what can we do next year? And then say you have a bad season. You know, say you miss all of the things that you were hoping to get. Say you end up with a bunch of byproduct or whatever and miss a lot of stuff, which it happens all the time. It's okay too, everybody. Like, seriously, we miss all the time.
Oh yeah.
like way more.
Yeah.
I mean, and I love that nowadays in this you know, this whole industry, there's a lot more of that being shown, which is really good, because I feel like that helps, you know, a lot of the newer breeders and stuff like that. Like, and I even have conversations with people. They're like, oh well, I did this, you know, head to a visual and I didn't get anything. Hey bro, dude, it happens. Like, welcome to ball pythons.
Right. Right. Yeah. And Richie, he's making definitely a great point. Yeah, that definitely is a fail safe. It's a great design. Because a lot of the time, again, you don't know what you're going to hit. You really don't know what you're going to hit. And I mean, you may bomb an entire clutch, you know, or you may hit, you know, 3-4 snakes out of a clutch. And if your numbers just keep increasing, the workload is going to keep increasing as well. Then it comes a point where it's like, okay, cool. Do you need to hire an employee or two? Multiple people? Do you need to increase your rodent production? There's so many different variables that come into play when you're trying to consistently grow your business, but also keep your numbers well within control. Yeah. Oh, yep. The docu-series. Yes. We definitely need to link up. We haven't put it out that we were going to be doing it just yet. We talking with them now about getting on the docu-series, because they do amazing work, far more advanced than what we can do. We also been interviewed by, I don't know if we're able to announce it yet, but a magazine, Bloomberg, and that was really, really cool. I believe they interviewed Canova as well. So that, I mean, there's a lot of growth in what's going on right now in the community. I want to kind of put it out there, like, obviously, Morphed Out Reptilez is his own business. You know, Sloan Reptile, that's his own. Sloan Morph's his own business. You know, Flaw is our own business, but we still can coexist. You know, we still can send customers to each other. We can all do this together. We don't have to be cutthroat in this game. And I think some people lose vision on that, right? I never want someone to kind of see a video drop from Flawless, and when they see it come through their feed, they're like, oh God, another video. What kind of drama is they gonna put out there now? And go and click. I want them to feel energized, feel like they're kind of ramped up to click, watch through and through, and hopefully garner or gain some information from that help them get through a troubled time. You know, we can't do this all by ourselves. It's impossible. Let's see. Ebony and Ivory, what's going on? The big homie himself. Jen, hey Jen, what's going on? Happy you made it.
Yeah, the chat's been blowing up.
Yeah, I see. Respect. Look at that. Oh man. Courtney is vending Charlotte Repticon. Nice. Congrats. I need to stay up to date on. We want to actually go and document and record one of the local shows. Um, maybe a Repticon, but they also have one down in Greenville. I got to figure out the scheduling. Some of the promotion on some of the shows they don't promote in a good enough fashion. Is what I'll say. It's not up to par. Yeah, so we want them to hopefully change how they do some of the things in hopes of helping the community stay more stable. It's bad when you have the same customer base coming just because they know they came last time, so they're going to come again. You're never going to garner any new customers coming through that way. Let's spin off of that because we talk about the community. What do you define as success, right, in a season? Because I'll throw it out there. I know a lot about this season from you and the things that you've done, and you rag on yourself a lot, but I feel if I had to categorize your progress and what you've done this season in a failure, there's no in between. In a failure or a success category, I will put it in a success category, even 100%. Though you've been through your trials and tribulations. How would you score
100%,
yourself?
100%. I think we're successful. I think we've been successful. I feel our goals is what I don't know. It's been tricky, right? Because like we try to make goals every year. And one of the goals that I've always had is I would love to have, especially like this year. So we've hatched out early. We're basically almost done hatching out now, which is kind of strange for us. I haven't had this type of season in probably a good like 5 or 6 years.
Wow.
But like one of the goals that I always have is I like to try to get as much of the hatchlings, the stuff that's for sale, as long as it's eating and doing good, we try to clear that out before the end of the year. Because again, when we're dealing with limited space, I mean, you guys can see our baby wall behind us, but when we're dealing with limited space, one of the biggest goals is I don't want to still have a half full baby wall and then already be getting eggs for the next year. Right. That's definitely a big issue, and it can make a bigger issue real fast. But again, there's a lot that comes with that. You got to be willing to move stuff for what it's going to move for. You got to be able to get stuff out, but I think that we've been successful. I can't complain, not even about the market. Like a lot of people, I still hear it all the time, almost every day, something about the market. But I think, once people adapt to it and they see how everything's going, and, I won't even lie, it took me to like really jump into that, like, hey, adapt with the market. And it took seeing bigger breeders do it. You know what I mean? Like, you'll see some things and like, I mean, there's a lot of guys, I won't put names on, certain individuals, but there's a lot of guys, they said stuff 5-10 years ago. I'll never do this. I'll never do this. You'll never see anything from that with this company or anything like that. And then now if you pay attention to a lot of different things, you'll start seeing, oh, wow, well, this person, okay, now they're listing these prices on these animals. Then 2 years ago, it was a way different price. But that's got to be saying something when, and we talk about this all the time, Will, because like, I really hope that a certain like newer individuals from our videos, and especially this one, you don't have to rush into things. You don't have to be a huge breeder overnight. You don't have to do it in a year. Do it at your pace. Just make sure it's smart, because it's so easy to get wrapped up and turned around in this industry or in the business side of this and everything. And you can fail very, very easy. But no, I think we've been successful. We definitely every year, especially this year, it's been a lot this year. I see other little things that I really wasn't paying attention to that I'm like, I got to change that. I got to get better on that. I got to work on this next year. I got to do this different. But again, that's self-growth. It took me out of everybody. It took me as a breeder. It took me to be pretty much rock bottom. Seeing like, dude, why am I failing? Like, why is this happening?
I think you're being a little modest, though. I got to give you, your flowers while you're still here. But all in all, last year or the year prior, what was your most snakes that you had in your collection, breeders? What was it?
Probably 300.
300.
Yeah.
Now, if you, because I gotta admit, you guys, I was on him. You know, I'm one of them friends where you telling me you want me to help keep you on in line and accountable. I'm that guy you're gonna have to block. All right. So I was on him saying, hey, why are you doing this and this? And the issues was for a certain period of time, you really locked in on what you were familiar with. In my
It's
perception
easy.
of it, it's very easy. Oh, I can get this for this. You know, whether it's a breeder, oh well, you know, and it's not verbatim, but you may say, oh, this is my 10 egg layer, or this is what this one gives me. At the end of the day, you're always going to feel that way, right? You're always going to feel that way. But think about it right now. If you had legitimately even 50 more breeders that you didn't sell, right? That you have in your collection right now. I mean, you sold them because they weren't getting you any closer to your goals. They're just pretty much producing, you know, at this point in your career of breeding ball pythons, just, you know, snakes for the table or snakes for the web, wherever you may sell them, but they're just producing for you. They're not getting you any closer in those projects. So I came to you, I'm like, dude, I don't even want to breed anything that's not going to get me anywhere closer to my goals in these projects. And you looked at it like, then what are you going to sell from? And I constantly told you the same thing. I said, you don't have to worry about having things available for sale. If you're breeding for what you want, you're going to have a lot of stuff you're going to miss on. There's going to be a lot of high end stuff that it will become available. So you're going through a tough time even now because you're transitioning. You're doing several different things, wearing all these different hats, where, you know, rodents and where you're at in that. Go follow him on his channel. He's been documenting, coming, crawled from under the bed and start coming out with content on a regular basis. I love it. I support him in a major way, but he's documenting his journey. You know, a lot of people have questioned you. Are you closing your doors? Are you getting out of the hobby because you broke some of the old habits that were bad habits for your business, not for you, but for your business? So he saw that and started acting accordingly and trying to fix those things. We talk a lot as far as about vending. There's nothing wrong with vending, but we need to make sure that we're going into this, you know, show with our eyes wide open, with, you know, knowing what the expectations are. He sat and told me time and time again, you know, the shows that he may have vended in the past, and they were on his schedule. He knew the promoters, you know, everything was good, but it ended up year to date at the end of the year, like, bro, vending this specific show or these shows ended up being an expense. Like when you really
some all the way an expense.
Right. So it's like, all right, I'm gonna get rid of this expense and approach it from this angle in hopes of reigniting my whole customer base to come where I am. You know, hey, now when I say, hey, I'm here,
that's a huge thing too, because I like how
right,
you worded that too, because that is a big thing. I don't want to. I mean, and it's weird too, right? Because you kind of do, but not at the same time. You don't. I don't want to chase customers,
right,
and I say that with, it's a gray area, because obviously we're always looking for new customers. New customers
absolutely,
are always great. We always love meeting new people, connecting with new people, but at the same time, I see it so much, even more now when I go to spectate shows. It really, like, I don't know, man. It hurts. I mean, it really, really hurts, because you see a lot of people really trying to chase customers and stuff like that. And it makes it, even if you don't want to believe it, it makes your business look bad.
right,
You know, you're trying to chase down these customers. You're trying to make these sales. You're trying to get this sale. You're taking, you know, I'll do this price. I'll do this price. It just looks bad. And, you know, it always, you and me talked about this a while ago, because I had the same issue years ago. We're always doing sales. We're always doing this. We're always posting stuff up, you know, 50% off this weekend, everything. You know, it all comes down to your game plans, man. You keep making all those animals. You start changing that stuff up a little bit, and then you don't have to do those things. And then
right,
next thing you know, your business isn't being looked at in a way that you don't want it to.
right,
People reach out to you to maybe get your advice on something or an opinion on a project, and then, hey, oh, well, I like that. Can I get, we've had it this year. People just messaging, I want that animal. Okay, well, nah, I don't care. Just what's the number, what's the shipping, everything like that, done deal. It turned into a lot more of that versus tell me the best number that you'll take for the animal.
Right.
And that's huge, especially with being a business, more of the business mindset now where we're at. That's huge. And it goes a long way, I think. Like, it makes me feel better.
You told me, and again, it's case by case scenario, right? We never want to put ourselves, because we vend ourselves, we never want to put it out there that you're anti-vending. That's not the concept of it. But we do want you to understand that on the business side, when you're spending money with different promoters, you just had a show. We won't have to put them on blast, but you just had a show, and it's like there's a much different approach when hey, I got a local show that has, this event once a month, every month. And I did it, and I liked the crowd, but sales was never really truly there. Let's say I drop back and I'm still going to do the show, but I do it every other month. Then you sit back and you evaluate. You see what type of revenue you have coming in, what's the expense going out. You may still be bleeding. You step back again, talk with the promoter, say, hey, crowd, this, that, and the third. Let's say I'll do it every third month. I'll do it quarterly, once every quarter. And that may be your niche. That may be it. That may hit it, because you know what? You're following those. Every time that you're there, you let them know, hey, make sure you get what you're looking at, because I'm not going to be here next month or the month after. It's every third month, every quarter. You'll see people hopefully closing up on sales more and more often that way. I've put it out there before. A lot of the time, a lot of reason we don't do a ton of shows is because, in my opinion, a lot of the shows are happening too frequently. If you can, as a consumer, as a customer, if I can go and see, this snake that I really, really like, and a lot of people make impulse buys, but I can see the snake that I really, really like, and I want to hold off because I don't want to spend $250 or whatever, or I'll just wait till next month because there's gonna be another one next month or next weekend, an hour in the opposite direction. So unfortunately, as a vendor, none of it's ever gonna change until we start speaking with our dollars. And the only way you can speak with your dollars is for us to dictate what's happening with the promotion. Because how often do you see it? You go, you vend, maybe someone's very unhappy about a show, how it's being ran. They argue, they get pissed off. They have a toxic mentality about them that spreads through everyone else. And unfortunately, they express everything to the promoter and then turn around and give them a check for the next show.
Or you get in that spot, like kind of how I felt that I was without knowing it, because I didn't realize it until after I was done with the shows and took my hiatus that I'm on. But you start relying on the shows, and then when you rely on the shows, sometimes it trickles down to your pairings. Or prime example, you and me dealt with this. Not so much anymore. I'm getting better at it, but like we would have a certain amount of animals, and I wouldn't post everything.
Right.
Because well, next month I got a show. I gotta have that for the show, dude. I gotta put it on the table.
And I'm like, what? If it's still there, put it on the table.
Like, I'll be the first one, guys. Like, we had a lot of people reach out. Are you shutting down? Are you closing your doors? Blah blah blah. Is there drama between the reptile shows? I don't know. Don't care. It's not because of that. But at the same time, I want to be able to go to a show, interact with all the, the cool customers, the people that we meet and everything like that. But I don't want to let myself have that negative attitude and energy that's going to draw people away from the table, which, again, I did not realize this until we took our hiatus. But we just did a show recently, but I don't really count that. But before that, it was about a year and a half before I did a show. I think it was exactly like 16 months. I went to 3 shows as a spectator. And honestly, within the first hour of those shows, I wanted to leave just because it wasn't fun. You
Right.
know, obviously we talked to a couple of our friends that are vendors there, and we, you know, cut it up with them, which is always good. But on the most part of the couple shows that we went to, it was just like most of the vendors were just mad. Like they were just
Right.
unhappy, and it doesn't have that fun feeling. Like Tinley. I mean, Tinley's coming up, and I'm so mad that I can't go again another year. But I love shows like that because no matter, I mean, look at my first Tinley. I went there, I didn't have a dollar. Didn't even went there, was like, I'm not buying anything. I don't have anything. There's plenty of things that I want. There's plenty of people that I'm going to meet that I've never seen before. There's animals
Right.
that I'm going to see that I'll never see until I go back. But I told myself, I literally, I think my first Tinley I had like, I don't even know, like maybe $1,000.
Right.
And I literally went there. I think I bought one thing, but it was so much more to that show than just looking at tables, trying to buy everything like that. It was so much more. And like, that's one of the things with our local shows here, man. Like I went to a couple shows and it was just, it's depressing,
Right.
you know, and it's not even, and I know what that comes from. Like, I know why certain people feel that way. It's because you're going to these shows, you're doing them all the time. Inside, you're not trying to you know, let it out, but you're dealing with a lot of overhead. Your shows aren't doing good. You're dealing
Right.
with competition from other sellers, from other, you know, people that are vending. You're seeing the numbers on animals that you have, that you as a business, you need to make $400 off this animal because you already put $5 into it in food. But
Right.
then the dude next to you is selling it for $50 and he's not moving his.
Right.
It's a downward spiral.
Exactly. But at the end of the day, like you've already kind of accounted for, accountability. At the end of the day, you only can control yourself. We can't control other people. So that's why I take that stand. I love going to the shows, but I got a different mindset. When we go to a show, it's a tax write-off, number one. And it's like, all right, how can I network? You're literally in a building now where if you can get 4,000, 5,000 people through this building, you're going to take advantage of that and hopefully be able to reach the majority of them, network with them. It's not about sales for us. It's truly not about sales.
It can't
We're
be.
trying to network with that. Right. It can't be. So everyone else, for the most part, a good 90%, it has to be about sales. And then you get those emotions mixed in if they don't do well. And it just ends up being toxic. So we love going with our mindset because it's just easier to coexist with other breeders, other keepers, other vendors. And for us, it just builds us up to keep on going, keep on pushing. We love it when people come to, you know, to one of the shows and like, hey, where's the flawless booth? Or they see us and they take pictures. We tell people all the time, hey, you ain't got to come spend money. Just come hang out with us. You know,
I
pick
think
out.
that's what I hate. That's what I hate the most about it, though, right? Like,
Yeah.
Because we get our normal customers and our friends that we see all the time. And that's probably one of the things that I miss so much about the shows is when I'm at a show, I don't care if you talk to me for 3 hours about snakes. You could stay there at the table the entire show the first day and talk to me about snakes, not make a single purchase. I mean, I'd like you to make a purchase, but I'm literally there for that. I'm not there to worry about Facebook or anything else. I'm there to strictly focus is snakes or whatever we're selling, whatever's on the table, talking about animals, helping new customers and owners. But at the same time, you know, you get most of those shows where, like we talked about before, you have 17 shows in the next 3 weeks. Everybody does them on the same day.
Right.
We're always going to deal with that. You go to a show that, you know, we're used to seeing 2,000-3,000 people at, there's 45 people through the door.
And that also leads, I was thinking about Chris Eaton, his show, Snakes and the Fat Man. You know, shout out to him, shout out to Shauna in the comments, but more kind of spinning off of what he was talking about, success. What means what equals success to everyone. That's what we were, talking about. A lot of the time, you don't have to bring in all this money and do all these things. Sometimes sustainability is success. If you can, produce enough revenue off of sales and whatever you may do for it to offset and pay for itself. If you can, buy feeders for a quarter or a couple months or whatever it may be off of some of the sales, people are going to have different levels of what success actually measures up to. I don't think there's just one level of what success may be. Your success is not going to be our success and vice versa. Now, we can influence each other in a positive way, but who am I, to look down on someone that's wanting to breed at a hobbyist enthusiast level and produce snakes, sell snakes to the pet community in hopes of, hey, I did this, I enjoyed this all year, and I didn't have to come out of pocket a dime for my feeders. There's nothing wrong with that. There's so many different levels.
That's a win.
Yeah, so you
huge win.
So many different ways and it be successful. I just wanted to really, really touch on that because that was inspiring hearing Chris talk about it from that perspective, especially when you have, breeders out. We talk about all these crazy projects, so we're not negated from that, but we want to tell everyone we support that mindset as well. Success is not always selling a, $2,000, $5,000, whatever it may be, snake.
It's nice.
It's very nice. It's very, very nice.
Wonderful. But at the same time,
the point. Yeah,
you gotta and we've been promoting that a lot lately. And some people, I've had some customers where they're like, "Man, you're crazy," and it's like, "Bro, I want you to do better than me. I want you to have a way better successful year." Well, I only have 4 clutches. I don't care. I hope you kill it with those 4 clutches.
Absolutely.
Because everybody's success is also different, but your success doesn't mean. Look at your year. Look at your year compared to my year. You're on year 3. I'm on year 12 or whatever number it is. We basically just talked about this. You're basically, we'll say, a good double what we did.
Right.
The old me, I'd be like, damn, bro, you're only year 3 in, man. You're already doubling what I'm doing. What am I doing wrong? But at the same time, I've seen my own progression. I've seen where I was, how much mistakes I was making, and I'm comfortable where I am.
Right.
Obviously, you and me talk all the time. You're at what? I think it was 48 or 49?
49 clutches so far.
Yeah. So 49. You and me talk so much, and I'm like, man, I hope next year I can get 30, 35. And then the next year, 40, 45. Mm-hmm. It's okay. I know that, when we do get to those 40 numbers, it's going to be some nice clutches.
Right. But you know what, your mindset changed on that too, because I know we absorb a lot of the positive and negative around the people we surround ourselves with. That being said, you're not just throwing numbers, because we threw numbers out there like that. Oh, we want to hit 50 clutches. Well, yeah, we do. But it's the pairings that we're going after. So that's why I want to touch on.
It's not the numbers that matter.
Right.
It's the pairing. Those numbers.
Right. So it's okay, well, you're going for 50. Oh, you just want to chase that number. No, it's not that. It means that if we were to hit 40 clutches, I would still be very, very happy. But the 10 or 15 that we potentially missed, I don't have duplicates going on. So that means that year is nixed and voided as far as progress in that project. And now hopefully we'll work on it for the years to come, because that's just how the cookie crumbles with what we do in ball python breeding. So all these pairings, even you growing out some of your grow outs and some of the potential what you have to hit next year and the following year, you're looking at it in different projects on what you're chasing. You're not just, yep, this one is the size, this one is the size, I'm going to breed. What's your holdbacks? Nothing. You're going for something.
And that's the most crazy thing, because I just started noticing that we were doing the tape routine and pairing, seeing what girls are going to be ready for this year to breed and what we're doing. And it's this year coming up, we might hit, I think we have a good chance to hit 20, anywhere from 26 to 30. But
wow.
I was like, wow, that's a lot for me. That would be my biggest year yet. But what really is the kicker is one of my biggest projects that I'm moving forward. 16 of those clutches are for one project.
What?
Yeah. Now, there
That's
might be
good.
different stuff mixed into there, but they all revolve around one project. And I'm just sitting here thinking, like, how many times this year was like, oh, man, it's a nice clutch, but I missed everything I wanted. God damn it. I hit an awesome clutch, missed everything that I wanted.
Bro,
look, I got one, but I missed on the other 8 eggs.
Yep.
Then I started looking at, man, next year I got 16 different females for one clutch. If I miss something, it's okay. I gotta hit something.
I gotta
hit something.
Right.
And I think that's a different thing too, right? Because we're always talking about building and trying to, make sure that we're always on point and staying on pace what we want to do. And I don't have, we still have. I'd probably say off the top of my head, like I'm looking at the adult wall right now. I'd say we have like maybe 10 to 15 animals out of 60 to 70 adults that aren't for sure like this is for this project.
Right.
They're just kind of like we talked about before. They're multi-gene females that I can go many different ways.
Right.
But we've been moving so much towards like, what are the projects that we're doing? What do we need to keep? What do we need to stay focused on? Okay, then we need to build on that project or like next year. And every year changes because like the Kiki stuff, I mean, that's one of my biggest projects right now. We've spent the last year and a half building on that project. Now this year coming up, I got to start looking at other projects. Okay, I'm a little short on this project. I need to start trying to hit some holdbacks or some grow outs for this stuff. At the same time, I know the Kiki stuff we'll be okay on that.
Yeah, no, definitely. Now speaking about some of this downward spiral with the market overproduction, what are some of I guess some action steps we can take toward success as a whole? So I'm generalizing, right? Not just something you can do specifically, even though you can share something specific. I touched on it earlier about, okay, there's 30,000, 40,000 snakes available. I'm not going to say that the number don't matter, but when it comes down to you, the person that's watching this video, or even actively watching it live right now, what are you doing to, I don't want to say bring that number down, but if you're breeding ball pythons or thinking about breeding ball pythons, what are you doing to keep your available animals out of that lot, that big old melting pot, being one of 1,000 combos, being available in one specific combo versus, all right, I'm one of 100 or one of 50 in a specific snake that's available, that's for sale, that somebody may be coming to add to their collection. Like, what do you think about that?
You just, and that's really tough, right? Because we have quite a good amount of animals available right now, as I know you do too, and have more coming up.
Right.
Again, you're not gonna get rich off of every animal you produce.
Nope.
And that, regardless of whether a lot of people want to accept it or they don't want to accept it, you need to basically have a talk with yourself to understand the reality of the situation. Yep. When you have those certain animals to where there's, we'll say 50 to 100. Okay. That's okay. You got to do your research at first. Make sure that you're not crazy high or crazy low on your pricing. You're kind of in the middle, and have those animals that you don't mind sitting on. I personally would rather sit with 25 animals that are decent, versus sit on 50 animals where 30 of those animals are not decent.
They're common.
Not decent, but common. Very common out there. You can find them all over the place, but we're sitting because I'm not happy with what I'm gonna get price wise right now. Well, I tell you right now, and especially from previous, I've dealt with this many years. I tell you right now, the more you feed them and the more you hold on to them, it's not gonna get better. Right. They're not those $100 animals or $50 animals that you think is a $300-$400 animal in a year when you still have it and you're feeding it. Not only is that animal 9 times out of 10 not going to go up in value, but it's also going down because you're also putting so much more into it still.
Right. Right.
So
And word to the wise, we've heard that, oh, we've been through the ball python, drop and several times prior. I think again, I wasn't there when this all happened, but each time I want to say it's probably been slightly different. This time is going to be different as well. We can't go back in time, which means, okay, cool. When it was happening back in, Tim's heyday, since he's an old man too, that you didn't have the resources and things that's available now. You may call them resources, we call them resources. Some people may hate the different avenues. You're not really going and finding fauna classifieds. You have more market now.
you just
you
showed your
know
age right there.
yeah, I know, right? Yeah, hey, we used to market on fauna. So you don't have those things like fully accessible, like that. You have more and different avenues.
I think it's way
Palm.
worse.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm about to say. You have
Yeah, yeah,
palm,
yeah. It's
which
way
some
worse
people
now.
hate it, some people love it. We're utilizing it. We have it. We're gonna put some social media, and I'll throw that plug in there now. Hey, this Friday at 9, you're gonna want to come over to Palm and come hang out with us. Watch how we do it on Friday. It's much, much different. Our availability now. I mean, we have 208 snakes out of the egg. A lot of that we do have, I want to say maybe 30 that are holdbacks. We have a ton that we're waiting on shed tests for, but we probably have maybe 50, 60 snakes that are available. The way we're going to do it is quite different than what you may have seen normally. We probably end up having a total of 11 or 10 to 12 snakes end up being auctioned off. We're going to hang out for about an hour and a half, talk different projects, grow that community, grow that like social media. That's our approach. Yet again, just like a show, we go, we hang out with the people, show them what they want to see, and it doesn't matter whether they buy something or not. It doesn't mean we're going to rock bottom out all the prices. We're going to put some awesome deals up there for people to snag some deals. But again, we're limiting ourselves to 10, 12 snakes max. Not saying that we're not going to show off much more. We're going to show off some heavy hitters. We actually just showed off a Acid Stranger Clown that's 50% het puzzle recently. I want to say yesterday, and we got a lot of good feedback over on Instagram. So we want to kind of do a show and tell, not necessarily just all show and sell, and just build that community, that following there. It's a lot of people there that are not familiar or pet level, pet grade customers. That's fine too. Show them something that they can maybe look forward to in the future when they may decide to take things serious. So taking advantage of every opportunity to get in front of a potential customer or someone that's interested in the same things that we are in. I always tell Darren and Tim the same thing. I don't think people like it if every time you saw Flawless, whether it's here in a video that we put up or a post, everything we post is, hey, this for sale too. You want to buy this? You want to buy this? It's like, think about the people who used to come knocking on your door to solicit. A lot of people used to duck them, don't open the door. It has to be, your experience with people has to be more than I have something to sell you. I want people to literally gravitate toward us and come and get this free information, free knowledge, come hang out just because we have a positive vibe, or maybe we're doing well in an area that somebody else wants to be in. That's a good feeling. I know you got a lot on that too that we talk
100%.
about.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, dude, it's so easy. A lot of people just they overlook a lot of things and they think too much into certain things. And
Right.
like honestly, me, I don't care what other breeders do. I don't if you guys sell your animals for $2, I mean, it sucks, but it is what it is. Everybody has their own thing, but I just hope that people encouraged to still like continue to learn, like the Palm Street thing. Come by, hang out, take the information and see how other people are doing it instead of just immediately going negative or going against what other people are doing. Just you never know, they might be doing it for a reason. They could just be just to put the promotions out there. And again, we touched base on that earlier. It's you got to promote yourself. So it's, doesn't mean you
Absolutely.
have to do a show every weekend. It doesn't mean you have to, do a million different things that you don't want to do, but there are things that are out there that can help you. Posting, popping in on Palm Street, just making a Palm Street account and just going and sitting in on people's lives.
Right.
There's
Yeah.
so many things that you can do without spending money.
So definitely networking with the whole ball python industry, any reptile industry that interests you, building your social media up over time. So therefore, whenever something's taking place, you don't have to kind of get it running right away. I was talking with Darren, actually, he's getting ready to retire, hopefully soon. And in all seriousness, because, I always throw jokes at him being old, but all seriousness, he's getting ready to retire. And he's been having so much fun in the ball python community that it's been just that. It's been fun. And he wants to take it to his next level, whatever his next level may amount to, because he has an awesome collection. He wants to take it to the next level. But I constantly on him, like I'm constantly on Tim, telling him the same thing. Like, well, dude, don't wait until you retire to turn cruise control off and step on the gas. Step on the gas now. That's kind of waiting all the way to the last minute. That's a little too late, but again, we're accustomed to what we're accustomed to. And sometimes we have to create what's called a new norm, right? What can we do now different that it makes us a little uncomfortable, but it's for a positive outcome. A lot of that comes, look at you, same thing. How many times I've been on you telling, hey, where's your content? Do this, do this, do this, because you say that's what you want, and now you show it for yourself. It's not for me.
It's still, trust me, it's still hard. And I actually if you guys aren't, make sure you guys go over and hit up our channel on YouTube, because I'm gonna be doing a little bit of in-depth videos on that, because I the social thing was a big hump for me. I didn't want to do it. I was not interested in it. But now that we've done it for about 2 years, I think we're on 2 years now, I felt it was good to go back and see the progress, because year one, I didn't do anything. Like there was, I think year one, we did 6 videos, and it, we seen the rebuttal from that, what came from that, barely nothing. But now we're trying to do videos every week at minimum, maybe 2 videos every week, and everything like that. And the progression that we've received and we've found and met people, it's so much more. So it definitely works out. So we're going to be doing some touch up videos on that, how that's actually working. It's not failing.
Right.
Actually do it.
Exactly.
It just takes a while to get to that point. But
at the end of the day, you want to step back and do some of the tough times where snakes aren't jumping out the racks trying to get over to new customers. You got to actually put forth some effort in trying to actually get some of your inventory moved. You have to remember, you have to leverage these different platforms that we use in social media to your benefit. You have to also make sure, while doing everything you're doing, you have to make sure that you're building a brand that's going to last beyond temporary price changes. That's what it boils down to. I love the fact that when we get hit up and we're like, bro, we've been watching you forever, love what you're doing. I saw this was posted. I know you may not think very much of this project, but I want to buy this snake just because it's coming for you. And our response every time, it's not about that. Don't make what our goals and expectations are of projects, of breeding, whatever it may be, yours. Yours is yours. You could be a pet keeper. It doesn't matter. You could say, you could hit it. We gave away literally double hets, from being a subscriber on this channel and being the first to contact us on one of the What's in the Box episodes. And we said, hey, hit us up and, we'll send it to you. It'll be free, because we identify that, all right, the times is hard for moving, let's say, quote unquote, normals, but we do want to get them into good homes. And when they're able to contact, we can now do the background. Hey, send us your setup. Send us a picture of your setup. Do you have everything ready to roll? Have you kept them before? You can kind of ask different questions that's more of a deep dive, but you're still getting something that maybe you wouldn't have normally moved into a home of someone that's following you in a sense of, I don't like the whole big fans thing, but in a sense of a fan concept, but they just want a snake just because it comes from you. That means a lot, because that means that you're putting a lot of positivity out there in the world and that it's affecting people. So that's the whole gist of everything we put out. Even some of the, if you go back, we've had several, I don't want to say negative videos, but not positive videos where we had a snake die, a $12,000 snake died, and we put out a video. That's part of us being transparent, letting you guys know, yeah, we may be flawless, but everything isn't perfect. Things happen. Going to the vet telling her, hey, things happen, stuff like that. We want to paint that picture for you guys so you don't feel tricked or fooled when you get into ball python industry and things similar to that happens to you. These things can happen. These things can happen. 100%. But that's pretty much it, bro. You got anything to wrap everything up for this week? We've been up here rocking out almost an hour and a half. Love it.
I do want to make a comment. I see that is it Dickie Foster? He commented on that new All-American Plant Reptile Expo. I've heard so many people over the last couple, probably about a week now. They said that show really, really turned out well. I didn't get a chance to go to that one, but I'm really happy, guys like Dickie. Glad you guys had a good show at that one. But I also, hopefully you guys that did that show and had a great time at that show, you guys see the progression that Nick and his team are doing. I have heard some backlash. Surprisingly, I have. But at the same time, those guys are doing so much for their shows.
Right.
And I'm really happy to see people are doing good at shows. They're really commuting, because I know that was a show that I know a lot of good handful of people that commuted to that show, and they were kind of worried about it because, again, almost every show, if it's not like a Tinley or a Daytona or something like that, it's hit or miss. But a lot of people have said that show did great. So,
and it's hard because Troy and Nick, I mean, they're good friends of ours as well, so we try to do as many of their shows as we can. And it's not just because they're friends, because, again, you got to hold each other accountable. If the show was a bomb and just a crappy show, I would have to say, hey, we can't do it. But we've done their Charlotte one. We're vending their Tennessee show next month, October. So we'll be doing that, which is after Tinley. So we'll be vending the All-American show in Tennessee next month. So hopefully we can see some of you guys there. It'll be our first time vending in that entire network, in that region there. So that's super exciting, but we have to hold each other accountable. And sometimes, that's not always going to be good. I know every show that we vended with All-American, Nick and Troy always come behind the booth. They ask us a million questions and we tell them, hey, dude, you got other stuff to be doing. We're good.
Don't worry about us.
We stay busy. We try to promote like we're the promoters, so, and that's another video.
Huge thing for people.
Yeah, that's a whole nother.
As much as we love that the show promoters like Nick and Troy, those guys are fantastic. They do it. Absolutely. Bob with his show, fantastic promotions. You have to promote yourself.
Right.
Promote yourself. Don't, even if you pick up a show that's like, oh, I'm doing a show next weekend, I have 4 days. Blow up social media. Let people know, because not everybody's going to be up to date with what the promoters are doing.
Absolutely.
And you have a different fan base. So, people that follow you, we're going to put it up there as soon as Will stops being lazy and puts up that he's doing a show in Tennessee. We promote Will stuff because we have different friend, base. They might, some of our friends in Tennessee might not even know that there's a show out there. That's just another thing that we always try to do when we're promoting everybody. We promote everybody's stuff. You know what I mean? Try to get everybody the different views.
Definitely. And shout out to the show sponsor, shedtesting.com. Charlie, he's the homie. Oh, man. If you need shed testing results, hit him up, send him your sheds. You won't be disappointed. He has the best prices in the game and the quality level of work that he gives you. the attention he gives you, man, he's very punctual. I can't say enough positive things about him. That's why we welcome him as the show sponsor here. Big thanks to Tim over at Morphed Out Reptiles coming through, jumping in here on this week live, and we love it because, again, he's a part of the Flawless family. If you're a new breeder, an experienced breeder, or you just love reptiles, go ahead and drop your thoughts in the comments as far as about the market, different things that you've utilized that's helped you along the way up to this point, because we're still kind of emerging out of this weird times we're coming out of post-COVID. And I don't know, share your thoughts, share your experiences, good and bad. Again, we're a channel about positivity. We don't avoid conflict. We just don't tolerate it. We don't involve ourselves in it. But again,
or if
we'll
you guys,
see you.
you know, there's always something else too with the comments, man. If there's stuff that you guys want to know or want topics more of,
Yes,
please. There's no, I mean, I don't want to say there's no stupid topics or bad topics, because sometimes there is, but put it in the comments, guys, because like me and Will, we talk about this often about how hey, what's the topic this time? What's the topic this time? And we're, you know, sometimes we can get tunnel vision to where okay,
right.
This is what I think we've been talking a lot about this stuff, so let's put this into a video. But even new owners, experienced keepers, if there's other topics that you guys want to know, put them in the comments so that we can kind of get a game plan and try to bring new content and just information to you guys. I think that's a big important thing. I love hearing what everybody wants to talk about, because sometimes, like you and me, Will, we talk every day. Sometimes we don't pay attention to the little things. It could be a big thing.
That's a good point.
We each other off of videos.
Yeah, we do. That's a great point. So definitely do that. Sometimes if you want to address any specific topics, like Tim said, let us know. We try very, very, very hard to watch everything, all content, but some of it we don't get around to. And sometimes we don't know who likes who dislikes who. I don't really know. I don't really care about that stuff. It's all about how can we add to the community instead of trying to figure out what we can take from the community and leave it in a worse situation than what it already is in. So I guess that's the way we look at it. But again, we'll wrap it up, and we enjoyed you guys, and we will see you guys in another 2 weeks. Later,
guys.